Hello, interwebs. Welcome to SJU. We are joining you today from our tiny little box place and welcoming you from your tiny little box place. I'm looking into your soul. Also, apparently, there's a thing on my camera that I clicked to be like, be more fabulous. And it's making me look like Sybil Shepherd from Moonlighting, which one of you will get. Just Starr is here.
I got it.
You're looking great. Your camera looks great.
Stop. This whole thing, I just threw this on.
This whole thing ahead of a yes.
Nothing.
Spencer GIlbert with the microphone. You're the one that sounds good.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Bow, bow. Let's just do 80s references today and like just aim right for that 2% of the people watching us right now. Dan Murrell, you're looking dapper this morning and awake. Are you feeling refreshed?
I'm feeling somewhat refreshed, yes. And we've underestimated the age of our audience before. Your Waltons fans, they I think that these 80s references may be landing better than we think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll just keep them going throughout the program in that case. We want to thank you guys for tuning in yesterday for the first of our POV formats. We're very excited about it. It was about, if you don't know, it was about a franchise with lightsabers and who the best Jedi is. We named it definitively. There can be no argument. There's just 100% the case is solved. So you should go watch that video if you want to see who the best Jedi is. And we will have more coming at you. We got a recommendation format coming. We got some wonderful things in the next week, maybe even tomorrow. So we appreciate you tuning in and giving that support. But to our first story, very important top story today, TV is the new toilet paper, as it turns out. People are basically, there's bidding wars for television. Do you remember those few moments a few weeks ago where everybody cleared out all the stores of the television? Well, the networks are trying to clear out all the stores of the TV because they are running out. The broadcast networks, they're currently experiencing widespread ratings gains, not surprisingly, because people are home and they're watching more TV. And they have less things that they're able to do out in the world. But productions have stopped. So that means that they're scrambling a little bit to catch up with that. And they're in a world where they don't really know how to plan. So this is from someone who wanted to be off the record, but a top broadcast executive told The Hollywood Reporter, scheduling is about having all the pieces of a puzzle in front of you and how you put them together to generate the highest ratings. But it's impossible to do that when you don't know what the pieces are. So television networks, not unlike the rest of us, are living in a world where you're creating an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and Batman signal scenario because you literally do not have the information about what's coming next. And most people's jobs is to plan what's coming next. And we just can't do that in this world very efficiently. So you have to have 20 different plans and contingency plans. So they're just not sure that they're going to be back in production in the fall. So some of the completed seasons, including a new seasons of Hell's Kitchens, may skip their summer airing and be set for the fall in case they need it there. Their networks are also looking for deals to air cable or streaming shows, like from corporate siblings. So CBS aired Dexter in the 2008 writer's strike, for example. So Showtime and CBS are corporate siblings, so they just pulled that over. But in some cases, it could cost a lot of money. So this is via THR. Should ABC, for example, look to air content from Disney Plus on the linear network, the studio would likely need to get a new deal with profit partners, right? Because the structure is different on streaming than it is on network. The pay structure is different. So that would be a really tricky deal. Say if ABC said, let's air The Mandalorian, that would put Disney in a really tough position because they either have to sacrifice the biggest thing currently on Disney Plus to send it to ABC to bolster their ratings, where there are ad dollars and additional revenue stream available, but they'd have to rework the deals with all of the creatives. So let's just stop there. There's actually way more to this and other networks working through other deals, but let's just stop there and see what you guys think. Do you think that that's something that would occur, could occur, should occur, Dan?
I think that you could certainly go to one of their programming strategies as far as movies go. I also think we should get ready as soon as humanly people are able to get back out. I think we should get ready for a bunch of cheap fast, bad reality TV. Because that's you can make it like game shows, particularly. You can write them remotely. You can shoot them fast and quick. You can turn them around. You can get them on the air. And ABC's already just doing the revival of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I would say I think that's probably a good bet in the interim, before, as production itself is getting up and running. Is I would not be shocked to see a large uptick, much like we saw in the late 90s, early 2000s, of just prime time reality game show television, because you can shoot like 8 of those a day if you want to.
For about 25 cents.
Yeah, exactly. Get a host, get some contestants, and you got a month's worth of programming at least.
90 Day Fiance, that's also a singer.
90 Day Fiance is shooting. This is a true story. On Monday the 20th, 90 Day Fiance self-quarantine premieres, and it's like the all-stars of 90 Day Fiance who have all filming themselves, and it's exactly that. It's like a 6-week limited series that TLC is using to fill gaps in their programming schedule.
Wow.
That's really funny. Brilliant. If you guys remember, Spencer, I'm sure you remember this as our head writer, but during the 2008 writer strike, that was really when that boom happened, because what they could do is they could hire people and call them story producers, and they didn't have to be under the WGA, so they were separate from the writer strike. But really what they were doing was writing. They were writing reality TV shows because, spoiler alert, they are not real, and they are very produced, and people are told what to say. Our producer, Max Dionne, has a friend who I can't remember which reality show she works on, but basically her whole job is to sidle up next to someone and like hand them more drinks and be like, hey, I think he likes you. And just like stir the pot. But yeah, Dan, that's probably coming. In the interim, there are bidding wars for some of these at-home events that people are doing. So like Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood did a concert for CBS, concert, and Foxheart's Concert for America. So they're trying to grab up as much as they can for what people can do from home, celebrities from home. Why is nobody? Have you guys? I'm going to save this one for later. There's a new thing that's happening right now that I love. That's come out of Corona, and it's a bit of a nice thing, but we'll save it. Joe Starr, Mandalorian on ABC. It's not even the right target audience. ABC is notably super female.
I'm wondering
not that girls don't love Mandalorian.
Well, they don't, and if they do, they don't like it the right way, because this is the that should be the title of this video. What I am wondering is if because I don't think they'll sacrifice especially not marquee streaming content, but I am curious if they'll start to get a little creative, like it's 2 weeks of nostalgia, and they're like, this is what ran this week in history on TGIF, complete with old bumpers, those episodes, just literally packaging up old stuff from the archives and calling it a gimmick and running it.
Yeah, well, they're doing that actually. There's well, first of all, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a period of time where the Big Bang Theory in syndication would do higher numbers than anything that ran on network in that slot. So
Bazinga.
I don't understand the human race any more than you do, Spencer, but that is the way that it was. So there are a number of things that they can pull from, but they're actually looking at doing things like airing, I think it was, I'm going to pull it up, but I think it's General Hospital, like old episodes. Yeah, old CBS is going to air old episodes of General Hospital.
Wow.
In the show's regular slot on Fridays. They're bringing back Sunday night movies with films like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Titanic.
That's cool. General Hospital would not have been the first title I thought of. I definitely figured it would be like, here's all the Friends episodes that aired this week in 1998. And to tie into it, the news that follows, everyone's going to be dressed 90s. It's going to be crazy. But if you want to do General Hospital, do General Hospital.
The weird thing is, because I was sitting here thinking about like, oh yeah, that'd be cool if like NBC could curate like an old must-see TV Thursday night lineup. But then I remembered that they don't have rights to any of it, because they don't have rights to Friends, they don't have rights to Seinfeld. Right. Like they have rights to very few of the programs that aired on their own network.
Yeah.
Like, we've got Joey and that one with the doctor who had a monkey.
I think there's
And
been
Boston
a
Common.
few. There's been a few with a doctor who had a
Boston's
monkey.
I think
They-
Animal Practice. That was a
Oh, Animal Practice. Did they own
that was
Veronica's
the most
Closet?
recent monkey doctor. What?
The
Did they
caveman.
program Veronica's Closet in there?
Yeah, we can fit in Veronica's Closet.
Carolina
I think it.
City.
Yeah, it's probably anchored by what's it called? Oh God, I'm blanking. Not the cop musical, but the other one. I'll tell you later. Keep
Not
going.
Cop Rock, but
Not Cop Rock.
Not
Anchored by
Cop
Cop Rock.
Rock?
I
Why
would
would
watch
it not
the hell out of Cop Rock.
Yeah, why would it not be anchored?
That's a good
I
point.
wish so much that a network would just air a week of unaired pilots.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
great.
The Geico Caveman. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of.
oh, Cavemen, yeah.
Yeah.
I would
Starring Nick Kroll.
100% watch that show because there are some secret unaired pilots that I've been dying to see. There was one that they made for Beverly Hills Cop a few years ago that they were really bullish about and then quickly pulled. And I have never seen it, and I would really love to see Beverly Hills Cop, the pilot. Thank you.
Cool.
If we can make that happen. So, Dan, this brings us to an interlude that I like to call Surprise Mother Flockers. We're going to talk about The Masked Singer because one of the bullet points here talks about how, in the summer they return to a lot of reality game shows like So You Think You Can Dance, MasterChef, and the Masked Singer spinoff, The Masked Dancer, which we need to discuss. First of all, how that even works. But they can't film them. Very obviously, these are shows that rely heavily on audiences. But that brings us to let's talk about The Masked Singer last night. Dan, you called it.
It was Kangaroo.
Yeah.
But for the second and a half time this season, I felt really old because they pulled the kangaroo helmet and they were like, Jordan Woods. And I was like,
Who's that?
okay. She was apparently friends with Kylie Jenner.
Oh, I know her.
And
Yeah.
then
Ooh.
they're not friends anymore.
Yeah. Drama.
But I was completely unaware of who she was. So, but I looked it up, and she's apparently known by many.
She's a big player in the Kardashianverse. Now on the outs, but she'll be back.
Spencer, okay, this is an important moment for us for so many reasons. Because Dan, I was like you, I had no idea who she was at all.
No clue.
But now I want to know two things. One, Spencer, can you break down the drama for us? And two, why do you know this?
Well, I know it because I'm a fan of the NBA. And if you're a fan of the NBA, you cannot follow any of your favorite players without getting the dispiriting news that one of them is dating a Kardashian and then their performance will fall off a cliff. So this was, I believe, Tristan Thompson was a championship center for the Cleveland Cavaliers, still is, I imagine. And he was dating one of the Dashians, Klumpty. I believe it's Klumpty.
Sure.
And,
Yeah. That sounds right.
And he was spotted kissing Jordan Woods, and then that was a whole drama and some baby mama drama and some all sorts of stuff. So she was the other woman, and formerly best friends with either Clorptus or Klumpty. I get them confused.
Wait, so she had to stop being friends with Clorptus.
Yeah.
Because out of Clorptus had to be loyal to Klumpty, her sister.
Yeah.
And Jordan, her BFF, cheated on Klumpty's basketball star?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you got it.
Who's dating Crikey? The Australian Kardashian.
Crikey Kardashian. Crikey, that's a Kardashian.
Dan, who do you think is going to win the Masked Singer?
Who do I think is going to
win
win the
the
Masked Singer?
golden mask? That they can I ask you guys a real question about the Masked Singer?
Yes.
Dan, I want you to weigh in with who's going to win, but I think they're leaning in really hard to these sentimental moments and that actually winning the golden mask means so much to them. And it's ruining the show because it's ridiculous and you have to lean into that.
I think reality TV falls into this trap in general where they keep going man, it means so much to win XYZ. And it's either too crazy to matter, like The Masked Singer,
right?
Or it's too new to matter, or it's been on for a long time and history has demonstrated that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like The Voice.
How dare you?
Two people have had good things happen to them as a result of winning The Voice, but still, 45 seasons later, everyone's like, God, this is my chance. I could be the voice. And it's like, you're fine. But with Matt Singer, it's like this insane golden mask.
Sarah Palin in a bear suit, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, it means more to have won Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Got that.
Yes, it does.
That's much bigger. Street
I would take a piece of the aggro crag over the golden mask.
Sir, yes, sir.
What do you think of the sentimentality on the show, Dan?
I think that they've got to they have to create storylines around people whose identities you don't know, which is difficult to do. So they have to be sentimental. Mara actually has had a theory that I now subscribe to, because we usually fast forward through who the judges guess, because usually one of them guesses right. And we've noticed, because it happened, I think it's happened 2 weeks in a row or something, Jenny gets it right more than anyone else. And we are convinced that it was in her contract. That she be told who the winners were at least like 40% of the time, so that she could be seen as the best judge.
I have the same theory. Dan and Mara. I have the same theory, and I'll tell you why. 2 things. One, first of all, they have that binder of notes that they're all referring to. And in that binder of notes, I bet you they have 10 options. And, 6 of them are real, so like you're going to guess correctly a couple of times. Like they know way too much about these people off the top of their head. And my theory is that they told, like, contractually, and when they were deciding which characters they were going to play, they had Ken play the idiot, which he was happy to sign on to because he's a doctor and he's a comedian. And he was like, yeah, I'll be the idiot. That's fine. And Jenny was like, I'm not going to be the dumb blonde, so I have to be right more than they are. I totally have the same theory, Mara and Dan.
She also thinks she's the doctor.
Yeah.
She thinks she's what?
She also thinks she's the doctor.
Well,
yes.
I wonder
Ken
if
is the doctor. But
I wonder if this was bargaining with Jenny McCarthy, where if she vaccinates her children, they'll let her be right on The Masked Singer.
Deal's a deal.
Deal's a deal, Jenny.
Robin Thicke doesn't care. Robin Thicke is just like, listen, I don't care if I'm right or wrong, as long as you bring in 3 models a week.
Yes.
I don't
Jenny
care if
McCarthy,
that
dish from Singled Out.
I'm assuming that was Naomi Campbell.
Yeah.
As long as the whole world knows that he knows models, he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's fine. And then the Suicide Girl, I think, has to have it in her contract that everyone's in love with her.
She's a pussycat doll.
A pussycat doll.
Put some respect on that.
It's less
Bravo,
cool.
Roth.
It's less cool, actually. Suicide Girls are a real thing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with their work.
Oh, do you, Spencer?
Anyway.
I saw them open for Guns N' Roses once.
Yeah.
I've ever said.
What is it? A suicide doll? A pussycat cat? Anyway. Good. Who do you think's going to win the show, Dan?
Oh, well, I think it's, sorry, I got sidetracked. I think it's, if you're asking me, I think it's a 4-way race between Turtle, Night Angel, Astronaut, and Rhino. Now, Night Angel had kind of an off night last night, but I think I'm going to predict that the final 2, it comes down to Astronaut and Night Angel. And I'm going to predict that Night Angel pulls out a win.
No.
Mara disagrees.
Night Angel kind of trips me out because she's so arrogant. Like she basically talks like she's like in Big Pimpin' the way she talks. She's like, mine's the wallet that says what does this wallet say? God damn it.
Bad Night Angel.
Motherfucker.
Yeah. Wow.
Walker. I was trying to be accurate. That was about being journalistic.
So we can quote swears then.
Yeah.
All right.
That was
I have I have no context.
Integrity.
I have zero context. So when you let off that list of when you read that list of characters off, I'm hoping that one of them is actually just Turtle from Entourage, no mask. No one remembers.
It's just Jay Ferrara out
It's
singing.
Jay Ferrara, and they're like,
yeah, there he goes.
A model.
There's your winner right there, standing behind Spencer's shoulder.
I can sing.
Sounds like Naomi Campbell. Yeah.
Every season, I think that Jared Leto is secretly on the show. Every season, he's not, and I think that will remain true.
Live tweeting Parasite.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, we missed it.
Well, in any event, we're not going to get a lot more of the reality TV shows that we so love because production is delayed. We're not going to be able to get The Masked Dancer, which again, I just don't even see how that works because the costuming prohibits a lot of really elaborate dancing. But I'm sure you got it, CBS.
I recognize
you got it, huh?
It's just Robin Thicke being like, I recognize those moves.
Yes, not CBS.
You're Bella Hadid.
Oh, everyone is freaking Bella Hadid. CBS is going to be airing old episodes of General Hospital, like we said, in the old movies. We've talked about like pulling from classic programming. That I just think it's interesting with so many streaming options as well. Will that capture an audience? But at the same time, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. This is sort of anecdotal, but I've noticed that a number of people that I know and even myself are getting more into sort of nostalgia films, things that when I was young, I would turn to as like a comfort movie and I would watch a lot, and it just sort of makes me feel good. I don't know if you're noticing a trend in that direction as well.
Maybe a little bit. I just think it's weird that they chose Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I think another one is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, because both of those films, unless they got pulled off at the beginning of the month, are currently on Netflix. So it's like you could watch them on CBS with commercials, or you could just watch them. I mean, I know that not everyone has Netflix, but I'm surprised they picked two of them that are currently on Netflix, because you think maybe they would, it's Viacom, Paramount. They got a pretty good library. They might pick a couple that maybe weren't as readily available, but they also got to pick what they want.
Well, that's the thing that they're trying to pull if they can, if they have if their corporate sisters and brothers are in streaming, they're trying to pull from streaming. There's just a few of the networks that can't do that. Obviously, like CBS can pull off CBS All Access and pull that onto the network if they want to. They can pull all of Picard. They could pull all of the news Trek shows. Actually, they could just pull right to the network and off CBS All Access. And I got to imagine that CBS All Access is not as profitable for them at this point than CBS proper.
Well, it's like the old days where HBO would give you a weekend, and just every 20 minutes a subscription box would flash up. That's how we taped most of our movies when I was a kid.
Yeah. Masked Singer's on Fox, by the way. I think I said CBS because I was reading the word CBS, and two things at once. It's hard.
My boomer parents mostly just want to watch network news, and so I think they could just add a lot of content and get a lot of ratings if, without like leaving the news broadcast, they just started doing table reads of Raiders of the Lost Ark. My parents would just keep watching.
They would just not even realize that they had moved into a new thing. The problem with that, and I agree with you, that is probably a strategy that they will find. One of them said, they were like, if this continues on for much longer into the fall, then it doesn't really matter. All of this is moot because we're just going to run news all the time. We're literally, that's what every network is going to be a 24-hour news network. But what's interesting to me is that out of this, and we won't go too far down the rabbit hole on this, but what's interesting to me is that some journalists have been held to account and are being held to account about the accuracy of their reporting. There's some lawsuits about the accuracy of their reporting around coronavirus. And I don't know, there's a potential world in which a positive out of all of this is that journalists are held to account and need to have a higher journalistic standard moving forward.
Even if they're not, those lawsuits are going to be fascinating because I think, was it Hannity maybe that got sued a little while back, and the argument in court was that it's an entertainment show,
right?
And so I think, like, regardless of good outcome, bad outcome, I think how news publicly gets defined in a court of law out of those lawsuits is going to be really interesting.
Well, it would be great if there was some kind of, like, that's fine if it's an entertainment show, for example, like, but what's interesting is a program like John Oliver is an entertainment show, but they do a fair bit of research. But I think it's fine as long as you promote yourself as such. If you say this is an entertainment program and not the news, and separate that out and make it really distinct and make the news and have that be held to account, that would be great. I said we weren't going to go down a rabbit hole, but I lied. I'm a lying liar. There you go. Some shows in this respect. This is kind of a bummer for people that are invested in these shows, they were cut off while they were finishing their final season. So, for example, Supernatural, I think you guys know, was a big deal. This was going to be the final season of Supernatural, and they kind of like had to stop and then say they would come back and finish their final episodes, final production. When they're allowed to again. But there's a lot of massive Supernatural fans. So that's got to be kind of a bummer to have it just interrupt us. But this is even worse, I think, from a creative perspective. Empire had to Frankenstein a whole new ending out of editing 18 and a half episodes they filmed of what was meant to be 20 episode final season.
That sucks.
Probably a lot of voiceover, maybe some text explaining why people went back to their home planet. I do not envy that job for the writers or the editors.
Do you think that it's just like animated interstitials or like that they're singing the plot? I mean, it works for Empire if they're singing the plot.
I think it's like, hey, Cookie's got something to tell us in this Zoom meeting. Everybody.
It's just like a whole series of Cookie on Zoom.
Yeah,
exactly. Which, again, not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, they just film a PA that like kind of looks like Terrence Howard from the back, like in a darkened room, and he's just giving a lot of monologues from his office.
So speaking of nostalgia movies, one of the ones that I saw was on streaming the other day that I used to love when I was young was Soap Dish. Did you guys ever see Soap Dish?
No. What's Soap Dish?
Oh God, this movie is amazing. It's basically a movie. It's about a soap opera. It's got Kevin Kline. It's got Robert Downey Jr. It's got Carrie Fisher. It's got. Why am I struggling with Soap Dish? I literally.
Whoopi Goldberg in Soap Dish?
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg is in Soap Dish. It stars Sally Field and Kevin Kline, and it is so funny. And there's one aspect of it that just absolutely falls apart and does not hold up and is really terrible. But other than that, these performances are incredible and it's really, really funny. But one of the things that's in there is writers trying to work through ridiculous scenarios because it's a soap opera. And I just imagine that's what every single writer is doing on Empire right now. Like there's literally going to be Cooking on a Zoom and an interstitial rap video. I hope. We'll watch. Walking Dead had filmed their season finale, but needs to hold it for later in the year because post-production work, including special effects, which we talked about, couldn't be completed. We talked about this the other day. One of the troubling things right now is even if special effects artists can do it from home, they can't. Wait, is Muffin there?
No, Muffin is not here. Muffin is elsewhere, and Sir Pounce is nested in a chair.
Oh, that's upsetting. Anyway, there's NDAs that prevent special effects artists from working from home at this time. But I don't know. Are you guys invested in any of these shows or storylines? And like, would you be frustrated if they were just cut off?
I think the delay in Walking Dead could do them a favor. If what they're on 12 now, like the story is, it's great. And, it probably takes some time to really circulate that message and convince people who fell off to start watching and get caught up, in time for this supposedly phenomenal season finale.
I'll tell you what I've been thinking about since Spencer brought it up is The Voice.
Why?
Because I watch it and they air it usually on Mondays and Tuesdays, and it's only been on Mondays because they're all the pre-taped episodes, but they're getting right up to the point where they go into the live rounds. And I'm like, is it going to be The Voice on Zoom?
It's going to be like these weird WWE, no one in the arena things where it's just two wrestlers in an empty arena. That's what the live voice is going to be.
Yeah, that's the thing about something like The Voice or The Masked Singer is like, yeah, there's an audience there when they film it, but every audience reaction shot is some canned thing that they pre-taped where some third assistant director goes, all right, everybody laugh. Now everybody cry. Now everyone look confused. And then they just put those in as necessary. They could totally film that in an empty room.
That James Corden is taking another Emmy from you. Sorry, specifically.
Wow.
We've been in those before.
We've had a lot of practice. We've had 3 practice runs at that one.
Yep.
Show me your smiley face. I'm happy to be here. Wow. Everyone looks like they have to poop. Each and every one of you. Just holding in.
Who says we don't?
Well, they lock you.
That's
They
my
lock you
secret.
in that room, and they don't tell you what's coming up next. So if you do, you run the risk of missing the category. So that's probably the case for a lot of people.
So back to TV, which is the new toilet paper, because everything is ultimately related to poop. So we know this, but they usually film on tighter turnarounds than movies. They may be 2-3 weeks in advance, and I'm wondering, there's a lot of questions about like supply chain, and basically how it's been set up is like you take one, and it's so streamlined that you take one thing of Bounty, right, and you buy it, and then there's a register that says, okay, one thing of Bounty, move one thing of Bounty in, and then like at the manufacturer, they're making one more thing of Bounty, right? And it's very, very tight. Supply chains are very, very tight. And right now we're talking about, in a crisis like this, that means in some cases there aren't massive stores of things. So it's been a very efficient system for a long time, but TVE also operates that way. Do you think that they're going to be like batch and bank shooting just a ton of stuff? Like coming out of pilot season, I think, Spencer, you were talking about this, that there's a ton of stuff that was a pilot that just became a series order or would become a series order to just get it done.
Yeah, I mean, these things come and go in phases. Like I remember there's like that Charlie Sheen one that wasn't 2.5 Men. It was that other one after 2.5 Men, where they were like, okay, we love this pilot. Let's order 100 episodes. And they would just commit to 100 of them. And that was mostly so that they could hit like these syndication benchmarks and stuff like that. But I mean, I could see things in the short term, like as soon as production can resume, getting 12 episodes and holding on to them just in case, the wave crashes back on us in the fall and we have to go inside again. But I see that as mostly a temporary thing, like for the next year.
And then it falls back into normal behaviors. I don't know. There's a part of me, Dan, Joe, and like with all of this, I feel like there's going to be some permanent changes to just how we think about our lives.
I think you're going to get a lot of TV personalities that are like, we've proven I can do this from home. It is now in my contract that I report the news from Zoom. I think we'll definitely see some of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a little more. I think that there's definitely going to be permanent changes as far as particular industries and what survives and what doesn't, and there's going to be some that are impacted that aren't going to come back. But I think the general entertainment model, this may have accelerated some things that were going to happen anyway, but I think within a year things will start to stabilize and it'll seem a little more like quote unquote normal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just goes to show how I think resourceful you have to be, and I think maybe perhaps people have some contingency plans on hand that they didn't have before. But I think it's going to take some time, but I think eventually, we may be settling into a new media landscape quicker than it would have happened without all of this. But I think it's eventually going to end up more or less where it would have been anyway, absent something like, as we were talking before, an AMC, if they're not able to secure liquidity and then you lose the biggest theater chain in the country. Obviously, I mean, that's a massive seismic event that could affect a lot of things. But, things are so unpredictable right now. It's hard to know what the end game of this all is going to be.
Something I think was going to gradually happen anyway that might just be sped up by this is I do think, sort of like we've been talking about with the temp solution of rushing towards a lot of we can make it in a day reality TV and bank it. I do think we're going to see an even stronger push for the networks to put actual shows and programming that's on streaming. Like networks are going to, I think, start to be more and more just purely kind of just canned, turn it around really quick reality television, even more so than it is now. Because you can just bank a lot of that for just in case, like Spencer said, in case we all have to go back inside again in October.
What about procedurals?
What about exactly?
I mean, might go to CBS All Access. They got to find a way to get you to sign up, man. And if the Dick Wolfiverse has to go online, so be it.
They're also buying shows from other countries right now, which is another thing that happened in 2008, not very successfully, quite frankly. So I'll be curious to see that. But I don't don't know. I mean, networks are already in trouble with all these different streaming services, and there was a question about how this balance was going to play out. I think they're trying to target an audience for the most part that's older than the streaming services, I would imagine, because that's who's still watching cable television and network television. I watch some things on it, but less and less and less, and pretty close to cutting the cord. So that's because I don't know if that would appeal to an older audience. So maybe it really just is the news and then straight into an Indiana Jones table read show. I think you cracked it. Network exec Joe, thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, hitting that bell. Hitting that like means YouTube pushes this thing out to more people, and we get to keep making it. With that in mind, we are no longer going to do like challenges. We're going to do like threats. Joe Starr, would you like to kick us off?
Yes. If we don't hit 5,000 likes today, what's close to me?
You had a banana.
This turns into like a positive challenge, though, I think. At least come back to me.
Okay, good. All right. Helpful. Spencer GIlbert, what's your threat?
Oh, what's my threat? If this video doesn't reach 9,000 likes, go to Joe.
Good. We've got this together with his banana. The point is, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you guys hitting that like, hitting that bell, and subscribing and sharing this out. It's how we get to keep doing this stuff. Please do the same with our POV formats. We're leaning into those a little bit right now, and they're really great. There's some really fun kind of editorial takes on movies and television that you'll be finding. Spencer GIlbert wrote a great new recommendation format that I love that we'll be putting out pretty soon. Missing that Black Widow? He's got you covered. He's not even going to tease it. He's got you covered. You have to watch the whole thing because you're going to be so happy that you did, because you're going to know what you're supposed to watch.
You're going to love it. It's going to be great.
It's
Tell you exactly what to watch next.
Tell your mother.
Yeah,
tell your brother.
Tell your mother about
tell your sister. Say hi for me.
Tell the whole family.
Tell them to hit that bell. God damn it. Or else Joe Starr is going to what? Take a poop right on your porch. He is just going to poop right on every single porch he can find after he eats the banana, a little bit of fiber, get things going through the system. Okay, good. Oh, Lordy. Anyway, we love you guys. Thanks for sticking with us in these times. Let us know what we can be doing to entertain you further. We did want to take some of our airspace to call out to some things that we really believe in, like direct relief, which we've been talking about, which is coordinating with public health authorities and nonprofit organizations and businesses in all over the globe to provide personal protective equipment and essential medical items to health workers responding to coronavirus at this time. There's a link in the description. It is a really great organization. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to check it out. We really believe in it. And I also wanted to do a little thing here where we just call out to some of the things that are happening as a result of this crisis that are lovely and heartwarming, because what I've seen is a lot of people kind of stepping up and doing really great work in the world and being really kind and fun. And one of the things that you guys probably have already watched, because it's amazing and it's the best thing on YouTube other than us right now, is John Krasinski's Some Good News. And I feel like a lot of people are riffing on that right now and bringing out other like heartwarming sections into their late night shows and coverage of the coronavirus and the ways that people are being really good to each other right now. But it's really sweet, but not in a saccharine way. It's really funny. I highly, highly encourage you to check it out. There's 2 episodes available now. I promise it will cheer you up. Do you guys have some things that you've seen in this time that hearten you, make you feel good, make you happy?
Yeah, I thought this was pretty cool. So if you don't know, in my spare time, I paint tiny men. And the company that I buy paint from is called Army Painter. And they have completely, without being asked to by the government or anything like that, retooled their factory to make hand sanitizer. Because they already have the packaging. They have these little squirty paint bottles. So they put out a press release about it that was basically like, this will definitely hurt our business, but we also think we have a responsibility to do this. It's not really a choice. It's we live in the world and we need to be a part of it. So I thought that was really, really cool. And if you also paint small men like I do, then start buying your paint from them when they get retooled for paint.
Joe, can you give us context to the small men you're
I'm sorry. I was just
painting?
imagining Joe painting Danny DeVito that
tiny
entire
little
time.
human men. Me too.
Small man.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Cool.
The small man.
Oh, what's his little cape ribbon say?
Danny DeVito.
Oh.
That, first of all, that's very, very endearing that you do that. But second of all, I just want to say, Dan, that I was picturing the same exact thing. Just Danny DeVito being painted
Small
into
man.
bright blue.
It's just me like Julianne Moore and Big Lebowski, like just like zip lining over him with paint.
Done. All right. Spencer, Dan, have you guys seen anything that's kind of heartwarming to you?
Not so much like internet videos. There's a restaurant that I really like that I was bummed that they weren't open, but then I read that they've turned themselves into a relief kitchen that's making free meals for fired or furloughed restaurant workers. So
that's
they are
awesome.
exclusively feeding people who can't work at restaurants right now.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's I'm on the same lines. It's the people that you see, you know, here in LA. There's a lot of places that manufacture things, manufacture clothing, and now several of them have converted to manufacturing masks, manufacturing PPE, stuff like that. You know, I feel like when you look at the big picture, sometimes you see institutions and what they could be doing better, and oftentimes what they're not doing at all. Really, seeing how people individually, and then when you look at all those individually, you realize that that's a big group. It's a big group of people that have stepped up and have said, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm volunteering this, I'm turning my factory into doing that, and you realize that, you know, from a big view, there can sometimes be a lot to be discouraged about, but when you zoom in a little bit and you just look all around this country and really all around the world, everywhere where this has been a problem, you see these countless examples of people who have said, you know, I'm going to do this to help, and you realize that, you know, there are a lot of really good people out there, and I honestly do think that the number of good people outweigh the people that are not good.
Yeah.
And so it's great to see just those individually, and then you look at it collectively. It's a really overwhelming amount of compassion and charity and just saying, if you need this, then I'm here and I'm going to do it. It really is, you know, it's wonderful to see that kind of stuff in times like this.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I also agree that I think that the people that are willing to come together and do positive, helpful things and support one another far outweigh those that don't. And a couple of things, I saw a story about in a distillery, Joe, to your point, where they were taking, like, it was a vodka distillery, I think, and they were taking the excess alcohol and making hand sanitizer and just handing it out and at this counter. And they're like, we wish we could give you a hug, but we can give you this. And there was a restaurant that had to shut down, Spencer, to your point, that the owner buys just enough food to make food for his staff every day. And they come by and he makes food for them. So I think people really are coming together, at least on the ground, which is great and really, really nice to see. So with that in mind, we will take a fan question. Rebecca B says, hey, I'm wondering what your favorite kids movies are. I'm home with a 12-year-old for the next little while. I need some new ideas.
My idea of what the perfect kids movies I was so excited to share with my niece and nephew changed drastically when it came time to try to share them with them, you know, because like when you first become an aunt or an uncle or something, you're like, oh man, I can't wait to show them the following crazy twisted things I saw when I was a kid. They'll appreciate it. And then like you go visit for Christmas and you're like, it's on Secret of Nim. And they're just like, we love Lightning McQueen. And you're like, but what about this? And they're like, Lightning McQueen, mother. And you're just like, yeah, but what if Ratatouille, the Lightning McQueen? So Cars.
Yeah.
Because I was very ready to be like, hey kid, you ready for Porco Rosso and Spirited Away? No, they were not. But my favorite stuff when I was younger was probably like Black Cauldron and the animated Hobbit with all the folk songs. I watched on repeat.
Beautiful. They'll watch Spirited Away, but that's more of a
Better.
teenager.
I need to get better at ending sentences. I feel like when I'm in a room with you guys, you can tell that like, oh, Joe's just gonna drift off, and we just need to start talking, and it's much harder to read on Zoom.
I'm finding everything harder on Zoom. Yeah, see that just happened. I can't tell. Like sometimes I'm like, do these guys want to say something, or like, what do I need to do? Like, should
We're
I get
waiting to be called on like obedient pupils.
Oh.
It's a definite shift.
It's a definite shift because normally it's just, chiming in, blah, 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 getting in there, 2 cents in. But now I'm like, ooh, I've been talking for a while. No one's saying anything. Joe, say a thing. Damn it. Good banana, for example, is a perfect choice. Dan, did you have a favorite kid movie that you look forward to sharing with a small human one of these days?
I mean,
Like
I
Danny
enjoy
DeVito?
I enjoy the select Disney classics. I think that Pinocchio, for example, is a wonderful animated film. It would be categorized as a kids movie, I suppose, because it's a Disney classic. But so that's definitely one of them. I mean, almost any of the Pixar movies I think are wonderful. I feel like Wizard of Oz is classified as a kids film. I think that's a great movie. American Tail will always be a very, very sentimental favorite of mine. I like that one. Plus, it's the tale of Russian immigration to the United States as told by mice, which is very, very unique. I think to that film. I can't think of another one like that. So yeah, I tend to go classics. I tend to find not all the Walt Disney classics hold up, but I think a fair number of them do. But Pinocchio is always the one in my mind that's just like top of the heap for me. I think it's still a wonderful film.
What's baby's first movie, Spencer? What is Andy?
Baby's first movie? Well, she watched Blade Runner 2049 with me when she was like 6 months old, but she slept for a large portion of it. But I mean, the question was for a bored 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not a kid in the sense of like, oh, they should watch it's something like a Disney movie that's it's just gonna be shapes and colors. Like I would go. I think it's time to introduce them to the cinematic canon of mid-90s Jim Carrey. I think that's the right age to get into your Ace Venturas, your Dumb and Dumbers, your Masks. I think that's the level of humor that a bored 12-year-old that's like a little edgy, but most of the stuff will go over their head. I know it did mine. But like it's basically a live action cartoon. I think that'll keep them occupied.
On that note, too, someone in chat, "Am I Real to You?" which also sounds like a made-up Britney Spears song, suggested Animaniacs.
Yeah.
Sure. 12 is really good for Animaniacs, and plus you'll like watching.
I think that's the other key. Joe froze, sadly, but I think he was trying to say you, the parent, will also like watching it. This is very creepy, and then part of me wants Jonathan, you just to have that image.
Keep it.
Like bizarre. As the only image, and we'll just talk over it and see how that feels for a minute. Yeah, let's see how this feels to the viewer. I'd have to agree with Joe that you want something that the parent will also enjoy if they're planning to watch with them. But I want to remind us, ladies and gentlemen, that we live in a world where Paddington and Paddington 2 exist.
True.
And I just don't know why we're not watching for any 12-year-old, that we're not watching an adult and child of any age, why we're not watching that on. This is insane. What's going on?
We lost Joe, but Joe's shot was still there we go. Now we're down to 3.
Damn it, we lost Joe. Okay, Joe will come back to us shortly, and we will continue. We will soldier on as we are wont to do. So with that, we'll do one more fan question, and then we have a very important announcement for you guys. And hopefully Joe will be back by that point for that moment. Let us do this. Robin asks, how much are actors impacted financially, emotionally, career-wise when a film they star in flops? And the answer to that question is it really, really, really depends. Sometimes not at all, and sometimes drastically.
Yeah.
It depends on what point they're at in their career and all of the other surrounding elements. So if you look at somebody like so John Carter from Mars, which starred poor oh my God, why is
Taylor
his name?
Kitsch?
Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah.
So Taylor Kitsch was having this moment where it was like he was coming off Friday Night Lights. He's this very attractive, strapping young man. Like he has like rising movie star written all over him. He's been given this huge Disney film and a number of other films like the stupid battleship based on the movie and a bunch of other opportunities, and they all tank at once, and it massively
Boom.
impacted his career a lot. Like he really hasn't totally been able to recover from it.
Yeah, I agree. It's very. I mean, I feel like there's sometimes that people don't really care if a film they're in flops or not because they made it, they got paid the money to do it. It's I'm sure to some degree it's like I wish that would have done better, but a lot of times it's movies like that they're very aware of what it is. Yeah, some people like I don't see a lot of people throwing R.I.P.D. in Jeff Bridges' face very often, but I think it's because he's Jeff Bridges and he's an Oscar winner and he's had a very long and storied career, so that's bound to happen. I agree. The younger that you are, the more it will follow you around. And if it's supposed to be your breakout movie, then yeah, you may never get over it. Hey, look at that. Joe's back.
Joe is back and with a cat. Thank you. And she just made the cutest face. She just goes like, Joe, you didn't see it. She goes.
He is muted for the record, Joe. If you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
You
okay. Like this was the cat. Ready?
Yeah, but I think that Halle Berry, for example, was probably hurt by Catwoman for maybe a year or so, and I think she's largely it's a joke now. But I don't see people like not casting Halle Berry because she was in Catwoman 16 years later.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it.
Oh, go ahead, Spencer.
Well, I think it also depends a lot on how much you cost, which kind of hits on the economic factor of like if you're Chris Tucker and you've done 2 of 3 Rush Hours and you're getting paid $20 million a movie, like, and then you have a bomb, then that can really affect your career and people's willingness to give you other shots because you're just so expensive. Like, oh, they're not a movie star anymore. They can't open a movie on their own. Let's not hire them for big roles like that. But if you're like trying to break in, like you can have a lot of bites at the apple if you're God, who's the Australian guy that's in everything? Jai Courtney. If you're Jai Courtney and you're like, we need a leading man type, but we only have $1 million or something like that. Yeah, like you'll get shot after shot.
Well, I mean, and The Rock has been in several notable box office disappointments and still remains very highly sought after and employed and employable. And I think it's because he gives everything he has to every movie. And so I think even if a movie like Skyscraper disappoints, people will look at it and be like, well, he did everything he could, so we definitely still want him because he promoted it and he did everything else. So yeah, I think it depends on what you put into it and what they get out of you as a star.
But it's also because he has enough box office successes at the same time to balance it, and it's probably the level of investment. Like if you looked at over a span of 2 or 3 years, if they were investing hundreds of millions of dollars into rock vehicles and every single one of them was bombing, he would no longer have that career, no matter what he was doing. They still believe he can win because as much as Skyscraper lost, Jumanji won.
He's done a very good job too of creating the mystique of The Rock. He's bigger than I think his box office receipts at this point, or at least that's the image they've tried to create around him, just purely like marketing wise. And I think it helps him really separate from stuff like a Skyscraper or a Jumanji 2. And then all of a sudden, oh, it's The Rock when something lands really big. Cause they've done a really good job of, The Rock doesn't need to open big all the time. He's The Rock, like that's why The Rock's untouchable and can't stop narrative just like keeps on because they've done a really good job perpetuating it.
Yeah, there was an actress who actually, speaking of Soap Dish, she was in Soap Dish. Her name is Elizabeth Shue. It is, again, such a fun movie about a soap opera, but it's the soap behind the soap behind the soap. It's very meta, very ahead of its time, very hilarious. But Elizabeth Shue is really interesting to me because she had 3 or 4 moments when it looked like she was going to pop. And then she would do like 1 or 2 bad films that didn't perform and she would just sort of disappear for a while. But she's had like she's been working since she was a teenager and she's had a number of those moments. And it's really, really weird, interesting career to look at because she's phenomenally talented actress, but just has never seemed to hit her ongoing sustainable stride.
I mean, Karate Kid, Adventures in Babysitting, Cocktail. That's a trilogy right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and her projects are often, this sounds very lofty, but they're often very ahead of their time. I think if something like Hamlet 2 had come out when meta and dry and more micro budget comedies were popping, or like going, or like Netflix was putting a ton of heat on, a smaller fun project, I think it would have really taken off. I think a lot of her stuff just lands a little too early or a little too late.
Well, she did that Leaving Las Vegas, man. If you guys ever saw that, that's a cheerful one. If you want to watch something an uplifting film at this time,
Yeah.
do not do that.
Oh.
Okay, guys, we're gonna do it. We have an announcement to make. We're going to get into it now. It's gonna be a very bittersweet moment for all of us. I want to prepare you that it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be good for everybody involved, and that at the end of this announcement, I will, or one of us will, pick up a cat and show it to you and present it to you, because we love you and we care about you so much, and we care about your feelings, and we know that this is going to be a lot to take in. But please, please, please know and understand that this is going to be a good thing ultimately for everybody involved, and everybody loves each other and is really happy, and we're moving forward into a bright new tomorrow together. So Dan, I'm going to move the floor over to you, and then I'll say some things, and then Spencer and Joe a couple of things.
Sure. Yeah. Well, they say timing is everything. So this is this was something that we had. This has been in the works for quite a while, but we had a whole plan before all of this, and it all got completely upended. And so there's been a lot of back and forth, but ultimately, I think it was something that we all just wanted to just sort of get out there and start the process of. Like, as I mentioned, this is something that has been talked about, that I've been speaking with Fandom and with Roth and with Michael, our manager, and everyone about for quite a while, and so it's not a hasty thing or a rash thing. This has literally been something that's been the end of a very long process. Um, I've been very fortunate in the last 7.5 years to have done a lot of different stuff um, with Screen Junkies in particular, across the many different iterations that we've had, from the channel that did honest trailers to, that was just doing honest trailers, to what we are today. And the last few years, I've had an opportunity to um, really lean into a direction that I always thought that I wanted to go, and have found that I really enjoy, which is criticism, analysis, stuff like charting, stuff like the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World video that I did a couple years ago. Really leaning heavily into things like, not just new movies, but classic film, stuff like that. And I really found in that role and in doing that something that I'm really passionate about, that I enjoy doing, that I feel like people enjoy um, sort of doing along with me. And so a lot of this discussion that's been going on recently has sort of been me trying to develop um, how can I best go in that direction, and what are the different avenues. And when I say that there were a lot of discussions had, there were a lot, and there were a lot of solutions proposed. Particularly in working since we've been with Fandom, like, there have been a lot of different solves that I think we both tried, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the time and effort that was taken into this, because I knew that whatever happened, that it felt like we had all explored every option that was available to us. And there were some solutions that I was okay with that didn't quite work one way. There were some solutions that were brought to me that were great solves, but that I wasn't quite okay with. And ultimately, at the end of these talks and these discussions, the decision, I think, became pretty clear that it was time for me to go in my own direction. So this next week will be my last week as a full-time member of the Screen Junkies team, which is really hard for me to say. But this decision was immensely hard. I don't necessarily know if the reality of not being there and sitting in the writer's room has really hit me yet. I'm sure it will. But next Friday will be my last day. This is this is really hard. This was an agonizing choice for me, and ultimately it was down to feeling as if I want to know when I look back on what my career and everything that I've done that I feel like I pursued the directions that I wanted to pursue, and this was sort of the avenue that was open to me to doing this. I'll be starting my own channel and all that. There will be announcements about that, in the near future. But right now, this really is about really how difficult this is for me. And I know that in situations like this, because it's the internet, there's always this rush to find the bad blood, to find the feud, and to find the drama in a situation like this. And there isn't any. There's really not. And I know that's going to be disappointing because I know that that's a big part of these situations is everyone's looking to find like what's the angle or what's really going on, and what's really going on here is the fact that I will never, ever, ever forget the last 7.5 years of my life. I will always be enormously appreciative of the opportunities that it's provided for me. And the real deal of what's going on is ultimately just that, these two roads right now have gone in different directions. There is no bad feeling on either side. I will continue to be supportive of everything that Screen Junkies does. I'm not going to be gone completely. I'm working on some bigger Honest Trailer projects that you will see in the future. It really is just a case of I feel like there's a direction that I need to go in, and that's the direction I'm going to go. So it's a lot more it's a lot more bitter than sweet for me, in the sense of I'm very sad to be leaving. I'm obviously very excited by the opportunity and the chance to sort of build something on my own, but at the same time it is really going to be hard. I have another week and it's going to be a fun week. But it's going to be real hard, next Friday to know that, that'll sort of be the end of my journey with Screen Junkies on a full-time basis. Guys, this is, full disclosure, I've discussed this very extensively with Roth, with Spencer, with Joe, with a lot of other people. And so this isn't a shock to anybody. Actually, the day that I was going to tell everybody in the office was the first day that we had to work from home. That's literally how the timing on this coincided. Was the very first day that we worked from home was the day that this whole process was going to start, as far as telling the team, getting the plan ready. And so even inside of this, everyone has been very patient and willing to work with me and figuring out the best timing and everything to do with it. And so, there's nothing I would like more than to be in the studio with these three, and share more time with them. I hate that I don't get that time with the team, the whole team, before I leave, but we're going to get together at some point when it's safe to do so. It's exciting. It's scary. It's sad. It's a lot of things all at once. But the good news is we've got another week of fun stuff before I leave. And as I said, I will always be supportive of Screen Junkies and the team and Fandom and everybody that this has really meant a lot to me. And this is just a new chapter. Yeah.
So just Echoing that, this is something we've known for some time. Everyone at Screen Junkies and Fandom is really, really sad about it, and love Dan and believe in Dan, and he's so valuable to us, and such a wonderful contributor, creatively and otherwise. And oh no, we lost Joe. No.
Oh, Joe too.
No, Joe's coming back. He just lost the internet. It just sucks. Okay. Um, I speaking from my heart, like Dan, we've talked about this a lot, and I really, really believe in and support what he's going to create, because I know it's going to be awesome. And I know it's going to really, really be cool, and you guys are going to love it. And we're going to be there to support what he's doing and retweet it. And like he said, he's working on a couple of really, really cool honest trailers that he'll come back on once commentaries is back up and running and talk about. And if not, we'll figure out how to do that if we're still at home at that point. But this has been in the works a really, really, really long time, and was supposed to happen around the time that COVID happened. And Dan was generous enough to stay with us to create a little bridge so that we didn't have have to do this messaging on top of a crisis. So really grateful and appreciate that, Dan. We do have to, at a certain point, give him his freedom and let him go do the things that he's passionate about and feels he has a mission to do in the world. And like I said, I really believe in it, and I believe in Dan as a critic and a creator, and a commenter in this industry. And we will still be creating great things for you guys to enjoy. We'll be creating SJU and formats and honest trailers, and all kinds of videos. And we do things on fandom.com as well that you guys probably don't even know as much about, and on the site. So there's just lots of work and things that we're creating all the time, both here on YouTube and elsewhere, that we hope that you will continue to support and enjoy. And we will continue to support and enjoy Dan. So there's just more things to love, is hopefully the takeaway. But this is a hard moment, and it's a sad moment. And I think just what happens in life sometimes is that, people become really passionate about something and they need to go do it. And I think as creators and people that are creatively, we want nothing more than to see our friends succeed in what they're really passionate about. So believe in you, Dan, honestly. And this has been a real hard time and a hard thing for us to work through and figure out. And it's sad, but it's also, I feel hopeful and optimistic that we're just going to get more great things to watch and enjoy. And we love and support Dan and everything he does. There is no bad feeling anywhere. We just all we just want to support him in this new phase of his life, and continue to do things that hopefully you love. So Spencer, Joe.
I've moved back and forth along the stages of grief on this one for a while now. I don't know, whatever stage I'm at right now, I think is basically Ben Affleck at the end of Good Will Hunting, where it's like,
Yeah.
you're sitting on a winning lottery ticket, Dan, and you're too much of a to cash it in. Like, you have a brilliant mind, you have knowledge and expertise that none of us have, and you definitely owe it to yourself to put that out there in the way you want it out there, and to start the best damn Dan'l in the world. That's what I'm calling it. That's your channel now. It's the Dan'l. And if you're I think that, again, Good Will Hunting it's like, if you're still doing SJU in 7.5 more years, like, come on. I want to pull up to the house and have you not be there, and have that joy in my heart that you're doing your best work. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Thank you.
Joe, did you want to say anything?
Yeah. Sorry, I apologize. Today was the best episode to have multiple internet problems.
I know, that sucks.
That's possible. It's a sad day. I've gone back and forth with it a lot. Just like Spencer has. Dan, I know you and I have talked about this a lot time doesn't mean anything anymore, but over the past 6 months to a year or something like that. I will very much miss getting sandwiches with you when we're all able to go back into an office. Spencer, I'm sorry, you're stuck with getting sandwiches with me on a daily basis. You're drafted. You're a dear friend, buddy, and I'm just really, really excited to see you sort of be able to take off, build your own boat, sail your own ship, other boat metaphors. I'm proud of you, and it's going to be really cool.
The sunset.
Exactly.
Paddle your own canoe.
Mm-hmm.
We know this is a lot for you guys to take in also, and it's really sad. And first of all, it just means a lot that there's that much care and effort into what we do, and into us as individuals. That means a lot. And I have said before, I've worked at a lot of places over the years. I've been doing this for 10 years, if you can believe it. And this has been the best audience I've interacted with online, and we just appreciate you guys being who you are, and being as loving and supportive to all of us as you are and have been. We love Dan too, and we know that you do, and we know this will be a hard moment, but again, he is there and he's going to be creating great things. We're here, we're going to be creating awesome things, and hopefully we can just continue to be careful and kind and supportive of each other. The thing that comes out of this is like, equally we care about this team, we care about Screen Junkies, we care about these people. And I think, Dan, I want the best for you, and I believe you want the best for us. Like, I think that says so much, in and of itself, in a parting, that is true, is really an incredible, amazing thing, and it's a gift. So thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for that. I promised a cat. I don't know if anyone has one. I'm happy to go get one. I promised a cat to
There's a
soothe.
cat.
Let's
There
all
we
grab
go.
a cat. I'll be back.
I'll get Sir Pounce over here. Let's see if he's. Oh, he just made a very cute meow sound that no one gets to hear. Come here, buddy.
Darren's very frustrated about charting.
Oh, come here, buddy.
Oh, you're gonna get more charts, I imagine.
Oh, you're gonna get all the
can
charts
handle.
you can handle. Hey, buddy. Look.
Spencer, go outside and find a cat.
Yeah, I was. Just give me 1 second here. Going as fast as I can.
He's looking at mommy. He wants to go back to mommy. That's okay, bud. You can go.
All right,
Oh.
guys, we will be talking about this some more. We will have more SJUs and more fun and editorial formats for you. You have a bunch of cats. Spencer came through with the cats.
There we go.
And we thank you guys for your time. We thank you for your love and your kindness. Please continue to be kind and supportive to each other, to us, in this moment. And we will see you soon.